I sit in my penthouse office in Seattle, listening to the recording sent by my informant, a cold smirk curling my lips. This is what you call burning your bridges. The world of capitalist commerce operates on cold, ironclad rules. When you tear up a contract and shatter those rules for a sliver of petty profit, the gears of the system will grind you to dust without mercy. I don't even need to mobilize resources for a deliberate blacklist. All I have to do is state the objective facts of their breach of contract, and the credit scoring system will automatically eject them like a foreign body. But that isn't even the most desperate part for those redneck farmers. If it were just a matter of bulk commodities not selling, they could always slash the price or keep it to process into cheap syrup. However, it seems the heavens feel the lesson hasn't been deep enough yet. In the world of professional trade, nature is often the final arbiter. The sudden rise to 75 degrees Fahrenheit isn't just a warm spell. In the Rockies, it's a death sentence for honey that hasn't been stabilized. Because Jason insisted on those amateur bottling techniques, the moisture content wasn't properly managed. Now, those 30,000 pounds of honey are acting like biological pressure cookers. That is the fatal stroke. In the agricultural supply chain, purity is fragile, but greed is reckless. While that honey started as high-quality raw stock, the influencer circus led by Jason turned the premium asset into a biohazard. By dipping unsterilized spoons into those FDA-approved bulk drums for the sake of a TikTok frame, they introduced environmental yeast and bacteria into a stable medium. To save a few pennies, they discarded my professional-grade antibacterial seals, a standard requirement for high-density fluids, and replaced them with cheap plastic film. They didn't just break the contract, they broke the cold chain and the biological barrier. The moment Aunt Martha stepped into the barn, the air hit her like a physical blow. It wasn't the crisp, pine-scented floral aroma of the Rockies she had known for decades. Instead, it was a sour, sharp stench, reeking of low-grade bourbon dregs and rotting mash. She rushed over and tore back the cheap plastic film from one of the massive drums. The sight underneath was a nightmare. The honey, which should have been as calm and translucent as polished amber, was now a churning, violent mess. Tiny, white, frothy bubbles were seething across the entire surface, gurgling and hissing as they surged upward. A wave of intense industrial acidity erupted from the vat, a toxic fumes so thick it nearly sent her reeling backward into the dirt.
Oh Lord, honey, get in here quickly.
Soon, the entire farming community was in utter chaos. It wasn't just Aunt Martha's place, serious issues were erupting in the honey stocks of nearly every household. Farmers were clutching their hair in despair, staring helplessly at their honey as it turned into frothy, acidic sludge. Mayor Miller, watching the plastic drums in his own backyard swell up like hot air balloons about to burst, collapsed limply onto the lawn. He grabbed a handful of the fermenting honey and shoved it into his mouth, only to instantly gag and retch it back out.
It's over. Everything is gone. We're bankrupt. The honey is fermenting now. Forget about $3.80 we'd have to pay a waste management company just to haul it away, and even they'd probably reject it as a biohazard violation. A 30,000 pounds of liquid gold. It's all turned into 30,000 pounds of toxic waste that's going to cost us a fortune to get rid of.
Just as the entire town was wailing and crying over barns full of sour sludge, Jason was attempting to slink out of the valley, clutching at the North Face backpack. He had been cowering in Aunt Martha's basement for days, too terrified to show his face. With 30,000 pounds of honey rotting away, he knew that if he didn't disappear now, the enraged, armed farmers would likely kill him. But his escape was short-lived. Several Ford Raptor pickups swerved across the road at the valley exit, pinning him in.
You think you're gonna run off with your bullshit business school marketing theories? Not a chance. You're gonna turn this mountain of sour sludge into cash. Well, you aren't leaving this state alive.
Uncles, please, listen to me. This is an abnormal weather event in legal terms. It's an act of God, a force majeure. I couldn't have predicted the temperature would spike like this. I had no way of knowing the honey would ferment and spoil.
You didn't expect it when Mr. Smith came here. He brought temperature-controlled cold chain semi-trucks, and you were the idiot who cursed him out and chased him away.
Mr. Smith sent us those antibacterial sealed drums. And you're the one who made us open the lids just for your damn influencer livestream. You pay me back my life savings. You pay me back my life.
I must have been blind to believe the lies of a Wall Street fraud like you. That was $60,000. That was my daughter's Ivy League tuition. Now it's nothing but toxic acid. And you're going to give me my money back. Mayor Miller stood outside the pickup truck, watching this riotous farce unfold. The cherished cigar in his hand snapped clean in half. Surveying the utter devastation surrounding him, a memory suddenly flickered in his mind. The look in Smith's eyes as the Lincoln Navigator pulled away that day. It wasn't anger, it was a cold, condescending sense of pity.
God, what have we done? Smith gave us $3.80 a pound, in black and white, and I let greed blind me into thinking it wasn't enough. That was a corporate check, practically handed to us on a silver platter. Now the money's gone, the supply chain is shattered, your reputation across the country is ruined, and even decades of neighborly bonds have been torn to shreds.
At this moment, the entire valley is saturated with the sickeningly sour stench, the smell of honey fermenting into oblivion, the smell of greed rotting and stinking to high heaven. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away in Zhangchang, Seattle, I am seated in a 3-star Michelin restaurant, across from my new agricultural partners from California's Central Valley.
Mr. Smith, we are truly grateful for your trust awarding such a massive, long-term procurement contract to our farm. Is a significant milestone for us.
Business integrity is gold. As long as quality control remains stable and the contract is honored, the procurement price is never an issue.
My Apple Watch gave a brief haptic buzzer video from my informant. On the small, glowing screen, the rednecks of Miller Valley were huddled around those bulging, fermenting blue honey drums. They were shoving and accusing one another, a chorus of wailing and despair echoing through the barn. I gave it a single, detached glance, my face remaining an impassive mask. With a sharp flick of my wrist, I swiped the notification away and let the screen go black.
Is something the matter, Mr. Smith?
It's nothing, just watched a country farce that wasn't particularly funny.
But the story didn't end there. Only when facing a bank foreclosure, with every exit blocked, do people remember the golden path they once trampled underfoot. I knew they were coming. I had just finished the executive morning briefing and was heading back to my private office to process merger and acquisition documents when Amy, the receptionist, came running in, the frantic clicking of her high heels echoing down the hall.
Boss, there's a scene breaking out in the plaza downstairs.
A scene? Where is the building's security team?
Security can't hold them back. There are too many of them. There's a group of about 20 people with protest banners, and some are even kneeling outside the glass doors, crying. They're claiming to be from your hometown and say they've come to apologize to you in person.
I walked to the panoramic floor-to-ceiling window and looked down. There, in the plaza of this Seattle CBD skyscraper, a crowd of people in rusted clothes, their boots still caked with mud, were huddled outside the revolving doors. Jason, the once arrogant MBA graduate, was being held up by a burly man. His lip was bleeding, and his head hung low in defeat. At the very front, Aunt Martha was on her knees, cut down to the head of building security. On that white banner, several large characters were scrawled in crooked red spray paint, bearing a bundle of thorns to plead for mercy from CEO Smith. Begging Smith Company to save the Valley Farms, I let out a cold laugh. How ironic, a month ago, on that mountain road in the valley, they were cursing me as a bloodsucker and a cold-hearted capitalist, threatening me to get off their private property. Now, they've driven hundreds of miles in their beat-up pickups just to kneel beneath my Seattle headquarters, begging me to be the savior who rescues them from the brink of bankruptcy.
Boss, should I call the SPD to clear the plaza?
No need. Let them wait in the cold wind. Leave them out there to dry for an hour.
This 1 hour must have felt longer than a century to that group of people downstairs facing bankruptcy. The security captain reported the situation to me over the radio.
Mrs. Martha has fainted twice from crying. Mayor Miller has been incessantly slapping his own face. And that man, Jason, has been forced to kneel at the very front by the furious farmers. His face is a mosaic of purple and blue bruises, with clear signs of possible fractures. He obviously underwent a session of vigilante justice before they even arrived.
Then, accompanied by my CFO, the general counsel, and several senior security detail, I slowly stepped up through the revolving doors. Those blue shield drums they had hold in their pickups had leaked during the bumpy highway journey, victims of high internal pressure and faulty seals. That nauseating stench of fermented, rotting waste instantly flooded the pristine Seattle CBD plaza. You forced the passing Wall Street elites and tech professionals to cover their noses and recoil in disgust, fearing around the group as if they were walking clay. That which was once their liquid gold, the very pride of their valley, had now become a mark of shame that left them unable to hold their heads up in the city. At the sight of me, the cacophonous crowd fell deathly silent for a fleeting second, followed immediately by an explosion of heart-wrenching wails and desperate cries.
Mr. Smith, President Smith, you finally come out.
Mr. Smith, we were wrong. We are nothing but faithless, ignorant fools.
Mr. Smith, please save our funds. The bank is coming to seize our land any moment. Our entire livelihood for the year depends on you.
Mr. Smith, Aunt Martha is kowtowing to you. We were blinded by the devil, led astray by that liar Jason's provocations. Please, be the bigger man, and don't hold it against us small-minded people. Just name any price for this batch of honey, and take it, I beg you.
Martha scrambled up, lunging forward as if to grab the hem of my suit trousers, only to be pinned down instantly by two of my burly security detail. She didn't stop. She wailed, her forehead slamming repeatedly against the granite floor of the plaza with a series of dull, rhythmic thuds. Thump, thump, thump. Mayor Miller shuffled forward, his hands trembling as he held up a crumpled, mud-stained business contract. The paper was blotched with coffee and grime, the very same document they had once publicly torn to shreds and treated like worthless trash.
Mr. Smith, we want to follow the legal contract. $3 no, not even $3. $2 is enough. Just please, send your trucks to haul the honey away. Just give our people a way to survive and keep us from bankruptcy liquidation.
Jason was huddled at the very back of the crowd, looking like a frightened quail. He had completely lost the sharp, arrogant edge he displayed back when he was lecturing me on sunk costs and the laws of the free market. Standing on those marble steps, I looked down at them from my position of absolute authority. Their faces were flushed wool red from the biting Seattle wind, and their eyes were filled with nothing but humility, terror, and desperate entreaty. I looked at those broken faces, and it was nearly impossible to reconcile them with the greedy, snarling countenances from a month ago, the ones that brandished shotguns and chased me off their land with such arrogance. But my memory is flawless. I remember Jason's sneer. You give $3 to a hatter or a beggar, not us. I remember Aunt Martha's shrill dismissal. Who are you trying to scare with this scrap of paper? And I remember Mayor Miller's condescending drawl. Just consider it an act of charity.
Mayor Miller, so now you suddenly rediscovered the spirit of contract. I looked at him, my voice as sharp and cold as a scalpel. When I brought my fleet of trucks to the valley to fulfill that very agreement, didn't you all tell me it was just a capitalist scrap of wasted paper?
Mayor Miller's face turned the color of raw liver. His hand, clutching that pathetic contract, froze mid-trapped in a paralyzing limbo, where he could neither advance nor retreat. He looked as though he wanted nothing more than for the granite plaza to crack open and swallow him whole.
Mr. Smith, it's all our fault. Every bit of it. It was Jason who ruined us. He lied and said he could sell the honey for $10 at Whole Foods. He's the one who photoshopped those fake charts and spread rumors online. Mr. Smith, we've even brought him here bound up for you. He's at the mercy of your legal department. Do whatever you want with him, just please. Take the honey and drop the lawsuit.
Mr. Smith, I was wrong. I am just a stupid student. I am legally illiterate. Please, have mercy on me. Don't take me to court. I beg you.
Jason lay prostrate on the freezing granite, his entire body trembling as he let out a series of broken, sobbing pleas. Looking down at this pathetic farce, I felt nothing but a profound, bone-deep sense of disgust.
Enough. Stop the theatrics in front of my building. You don't hate Jason because his lack of business ethics led you astray. You hate him because he failed to put $100 in your pockets. If he had actually sold that honey online for $10 back then, would you be kicking him into the dirt now? No, you would be exalting him to the heavens. huddling around the campfire, and laughing together about how Smith was a complete sucker.
The crowd fell into an instant, deathly silence. The farmers, their filthy mouths laid bare, glanced at one another in shame, and lowered their heads, not daring to meet my eyes. I slowly descended the marble steps, walking directly toward the sample barrel Aunt Martha had brought. That FDA-compliant blue polyethylene drum was one I had purchased myself using company funds. Now, the exterior was caked in grime, and the sticky, fermenting liquid was oozing steadily from the edges of the lid. I pulled on a pair of white gloves and reached out. Even before I pried the lid open, the pungent, acrid stench of decay struck me full force, stinging my nostrils.
Is this the business sincerity you've brought me? Do you smell that? This is low-grade industrial fermented vinegar, not honey.
It still has a bit of a smell, but it's still edible. Just haul it back to your factory and give it a bit of high-heat processing to remove the odor. It'll be fine.
Processing? My company produces high-end organic food, not biohazardous waste recycling. The yeast count in this honey exceeds safety standards by tens of thousands of times. The FDA would slap us with astronomical fines just for having this in the building. I'm afraid to even pour this down the drain for fear of the EPA suing me for environmental pollution. And you expect me to store this in my company's cold storage?
We can lower the price. Just give us $1 per pound. Just $1, that's enough for our hard-earned money to cover the interest.
Maya, do you still not grasp the basic logic of business? This ceased to be about money a long time ago, when I invested $50,000 to pave those asphalt roads for your valley, when I provided over $100,000 worth of smart beehives for free, and when I rolled into your village with a $200,000 cashier's check and a fleet of heavy-duty trucks offering you the premium price of $3.80. That was my sincerity. That was my credit endorsement. When you threw my trust into the mud, trampled on it, and spat on it twice, the glass of credit shattered. You can't be pieced back together. Never mind that this batch of honey has turned into trash. Even if it were nectar brewed by God himself, you would have no place in my supply chain. Because the name of your valley farm, to me and to the entire bulk agricultural industry in America, is now utterly toxic. You've been blacklisted.
Mr. Smith, you can't just leave us to die. You were the one who funded the road. You can't just ignore whether we live or die.
Correct. That highway was my investment. I paved that road originally to let modern logistics flow in, to help you achieve wealth growth. But I never imagined that once the road was finished, instead of dollars flowing in, you would release the demons of greed and the logic of bandits from within your hearts. The high-standard asphalt road, keep it, walk it yourselves, slowly. Whether you can actually walk out of the mire of bankruptcy now. Well, that's up to your own fate.
After I finished speaking, I peeled off the white gloves, tossed them into the trash, and walked toward the building without a single backward glance. Behind me, a chorus of shrill, desperate wails erupted. The Seattle security team swiftly formed a riot control wall, cutting them off and pushing them back from the plaza. I remained unmoved. My expensive leather shoes didn't miss a single beat. I knew that in some eyes, I looked cold-blooded at this moment, but I knew better. In the business world, mercy toward those who break their word is nothing but cruelty toward those who keep it. Back in my penthouse office, I stood before the massive floor-to-ceiling windows, watching them like stray dogs. Their battered pickups, carrying the stench of sour fermentation and endless regret, slowly vanished into the gray, drizzly Seattle horizon. On my mahogany desk sat a glass of freshly brewed warm honey water. It was new honey air freighted from my massive base in California's Central Valley, golden in color and bursting with fragrance. I lifted the bone china cup and took a sip. It was very sweet. This was the taste of the spirit of contract. As for the people of that valley farm, they are destined to spend the long, grueling remainder of their lives in bankruptcy liquidation, forced to swallow the bitter fruit they brewed with their own hands. That taste is more searing than poison and more acrid than the bitterest gall.